friends around the world, greetings and welcome back. Well, hopefully your area is mild and comfortable this mid-July. So it's been a year since the Butler attempted ending, and one thing that isn't talked about that much is, there is the call out of, hey, not only do we not have these files and these other files that deal with these other endings, they're not unredacted and they're not complete. The other part, is obviously we don't have the full breakdown of what's going on. Oh, it was that country in the Middle East, and I'd say it starts with an I, but then some of you would confuse it with one or the other. But there's speculation that no, it wasn't that one. It was actually the other one. Hence the bombing of the other one. I have no idea if any of that's true, but there is plenty of speculation on that. More to the point, though, one thing that hasn't been addressed all that much, at least that I'm aware of, is the humbling that comes from an event such as what happened last year. An individual who has gone through a traumatic experience tends to they tend to self-assess what it is about them, and not all the time, but often will make life choices, for the good, for the bad. It's all subjective, but that's something I haven't heard talked about too much. And I wonder if that is the motivation behind not releasing these files, um, in full, whether it's RFK, JFK, MLK, or, Epstein. I have no idea. But it is one of those things of, if you're forced to work with the devil and they've got that sharp object to your side the whole time, it makes you wonder. Makes you wonder, on what level are things compromised, what level are things realigned, reassessed. I don't know. A lot of curiosities, and I didn't want this 1 year marking to be overlooked, because of that, because of the fear over just release the files and get rid of bleach blonde bimbo. She's in over her head. And, Luke Rudkowski's been posting on X that they're trying to make bleach blonde bimbo the scapegoat. No, they're not trying. Maybe they are, but in my opinion, they're not trying to make her the scapegoat. She was a buffoon from before she was even confirmed. This woman has barely 2 brain cells. She only got into law school because of affirmative action and heavy investment in knee pads. I don't care. Oh, how dare you say something about that strong, independent woman? She's a gun grabber. Anyone who's going to infringe upon rights and limit one's ability to defend themselves, limit one's ability to critique our strongest ally, or whatever they call it, that kind of nonsense, we're going to prosecute and deport anyone who speaks ill of our greatest ally. I mean, listen to the way she speaks. I'm mocking her because she's very annoying in her brain dead delivery. But I mean, we all have our own verbal faux pas. I have no doubt that mine is probably, you know, I'm sure that somebody's out there quite capable of mocking me, you know, in some manner, you know. And, but, you know, I'm not impressed with the actions she's taken as the state AG. I mean, the state of Florida had the opportunity to do something with Epstein years ago when she was AG. She chose not to. Instead, she focused on curtailing and limiting and hindering one's ability for the Second Amendment. As what's his name, Andrew Wilson, you know, he'd probably call her out as a covert feminist. To me, you know, that's what she represents is feminism, and it's all about control. It's all about control. That's the reason I call it out as a gyno-cacistocracy. And if you're not familiar with the word cacistocracy, I mean, everybody knows gyno in terms of, oh, it's a gynecologist, you know. That means a woman doctor. You know, so gyno, right? So cacistocracy is ruled by the most corrupt and or the most incompetent. Oh, but we live in a okay. No, we don't. We live in a simpish world that caters to the whims of the majority women voting bloc. That's the reason Mike Johnson came out in the last 6 or 5 months and declared war on men. Well, we've got these young men that sit in their basement playing video games, and we're going to get them back to work. He's implying that they stole these video game consoles, which is number one. Where's your evidence there, Mikey? I mean, I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist like your balls. Number two, these individuals aren't on the street destroying Apple stores, looting boutiques, you know, clothing stores, whatever you want to call it. They're not burning or attempting to burn down courthouses. They're sitting playing a video game on a device that they paid for, with a service that they paid for. Ergo, they have employment. Unlike your fat, over-indoctrinated, lazy, multiple baby daddy, don't need no man, strong, independent leftists who have no problem committing genocide on a scale unparalleled in history. Yeah, those clowns aren't working. And you're going to call out the men who pump gas or bag groceries or, you know, just work one job so that they can buy that game console or whatever it is. You're going to mock them and attempt to shame them. You may as well just go jump in your Gulf of America there. So find an oil derrick, go to the tallest point on it, and just jump. Nobody's going to miss Mike Johnson with your little geek glasses and your nerdy face. Nobody is going to miss the spineless, ballless Mike Johnson. Not one person. I guarantee you. Sellouts are always going to sell out. And Mike Johnson hasn't provided any information from a year ago. Not one member of Congress has brought forward anything other than, maybe one day I might want to be president, and they might take a shot at me. So, you know, loss prevention director's cheating, liar. Can you tell me, how come you not resigned yet? Because, because I got boobies. I got boobies, and Nancy May said if I wait a little longer, then I get my good parachute for being a good girl. Yeah, I'm a good girl. I got my lollipop. It's all a freaking clown show. It's theater for ugly people. I don't care who you got a crush on. It's theater for ugly people. If these people could get a freaking job on a freaking anchor desk, they would jump at it. That's the reason Bleach Blonde Bimbo's always on Fa News. Because I bleach my hair, even down there, just in case I can be on TV. There's a commotion about the potentiality of Bongino or Patel resigning from their positions over this debacle. There's the argument to be made that if forgiveness can't be given, then nobody is ever going to be motivated to ever attempt to rectify or remedy, a wrong. And I do suspect that is true. But, and remember, whenever somebody uses the word but, it discounts everything that came before. This event was handled so poorly by the terrifying trio of Bleach Blonde, Crazy Eyes, and Sellout that whether or not you forgive them and give them a seat at the table, that's on you. I myself am going to reserve any kind of judgment. Now I'm speaking like a Alright, I'm going to reserve judgment until action is actually taken. I'm not going to offer them the carrot until I actually see one of those two men actually be a man and take the lead in what needs to be done. This is the reason that people have been making fun of that police officer who got her, self in a position that, well, if we have to rescue her, she just didn't get her, she got herself into a position she shouldn't have gotten herself into to take liberty with that Los Angeles fire chief and her disturbing words from January, or whenever it was that she released that. Yeah, it's not as comfortable when you make fun of the women with such a statement, is it? Bottom line is, you can't have effective leadership with weakness. This is the reason I call out Mike Johnson. He's weak. This is the reason I'm calling out Crazy Eyes Cash and Sellout Bongino. Is the two of them, for years, have been hammering, this needs to be done. When they get in there, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am. Whatever you say, ma'am. I'll go stand in the corner, ma'am. Yes, you can hit me. Oh, you're not going to hit me? You're going to have somebody else hit me? Whatever you say, ma'am. Hey, that's not, number one, that's not leadership. Number two, that's an inversion of what it should be. I'm not implying that it should be the way around of somebody being attacked. I'm just making fun of it. The shaming ritual that must have gone into the nonsense of the last 6 months since Bondi has been the designee and confirmed. She's been nothing but a failure. So Rudkowski and any others can be, oh, they're scapegoating her. No, they're not. She's incompetent. She should never have been placed in that position, ever. Whether or not Matt Gaetz would have been a better fit, no one, we won't know. The presumption is no. So the same thing would have happened because of how entrenched the corruption goes. And it's been, just to make certain you realize I'm still on track, it's been a year. It's been a year, and half of that year has been with 47's team in place, not releasing the information. What does that tell us? That tells us that an entity and or multiple entities control the flow of information and are so insulated, so protected, they can dictate to the duly elected American government what it is that can and cannot be released. Ask yourself that question. What entity and or entities over 65 years, 62 years, coming up on 62 years, has that level of power? And presumptively, it actually goes back more than 62 years because the overthrow of the government of Iran, all over whether or not the oil of their country was going to be nationalized, allowing its people to financially benefit. Obviously, it's clear where my suspicions lay with what and or who it is that controls our planet. So there's the argument of, well, in order to change the monster, you got to go inside it. And there is some, there are colorful examples of going inside the beast. Remember the Hercules, the legendary journeys with Kevin Sorbo? He's inside the behemoth and squeezes its heart so that it has a heart attack and spits them out. There's other stories that the outer shell, the outer skin, the outer hide is too tough for any weapon forged by man to penetrate. Therefore, you got to go inside where the softer tissue is. There's stories, there's mythologies, there's examples of such that, there is something to it to be said that in order to defeat the enemy, you got to go inside it and infiltrate. But you have to do it in such a way that you can shower off the stain. And whether or not Bongino, Patel, anybody else is capable of coming out of this without being stained will depend upon you, the people that give them a platform, that give them the views. If you give them the views, that's on you. If they provide the information, then let them begin their redemption arc. Allow them that opportunity to have a redemption arc. But if they're not going to take action, if they're not going to lead and set the example, if they're not going to provide the information and come clean with it, then for what reason would you continue supporting them? Well, it was just this one. I'm going to stop you with that right there. I'm not even going to continue it. It was not just that one thing. That one thing was the victimization of human beings. Imagine if that was your child, your sister, your brother, that was being abducted and abused and potentially, I don't know, are there allegations of them being ended? I mean, with the MLK, RFK, JFK files, those three, those three men were ended. Well, it was just those four things. It wasn't just four things. Those are three men who were ended by an entity and or entities that have enough control over the American government to keep it quiet. And the other one, whether they did it to themselves or it was done by somebody else, is not as relevant as it is what was being done with those victims. And those people that were connected to those victims need to be named. And O'Reilly said it that just by association of having lunch with the guy will cause the speculation and could cause, destruction of reputation. If you ever seen the movie Clerks, you'll know what I'm about to say. The video store clerk and the market clerk are discussing the Empire, the Death Star, right, from Star Wars, and stating that blowing it up was bad because there were contractors, and contractors are just trying to do a job, blah, 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 take care of family, pay the bills. All right. Somebody comes up to buy something, and he said, let me tell you a story about this guy I knew. He took the contract job with the mob family. He knew they were a mob family. He took the job anyway. Something happened. He's no longer with us. The point is that they were making in the movie, yes, they were bad. Yes, there were contractors who were just trying to pay their bills. But they knew taking that job as a contractor put them in a moral gray, if not guilt by association area. So consider that with everything. On this 1 year marking of the fight, fight, fight